of her family. No one knew for sure if they were dead, but not one of them had ever come back either. Erskin's pulse quickened as she glanced up at the wall on which the names of the missing were listed. Ulrich, Ragnar, Jacob. The list was long, and it wasn't just villagers. Recently, a whole team of scientists came from the mainland, wanting to do research on the mountain. They wouldn't listen to sense, and had never been seen again. At least that year, no one else had to be sent from the village. Among the carved names was Sibella Siftdotters, and it caught Erskin's eye, just as it always did. Alexander, the Lordson's own sweetheart, who had disappeared on the mountain after it was discovered she was a hex-addled witch, proof that the rumours about her were true. It had been a huge scandal at the time, and Alexander had never been the same since, but Erskin had been too young to remember. Still, it sent a shiver through her. She pushed her hand under the lid of the satchel that was hung over one shoulder. Inside, she felt fur of impossible softness, the nuzzle of a gentle nose, and the soothing rub of a whiskered cheek, the telltale vibration as the warm body within began to purr. "Shush! Back to sleep, Scattletack," Erskin thought, smiling to herself. She was now much calmer. "Stay hidden and safe, you big fluffball." As if in response, the cheek stopped its rubbing, and the weight of the body inside the satchel shifted as it readjusted itself to the most comfy spot. Erskin glanced at her elder sister, Birgit, but luckily Birgit was scouring the crowd with her glow lamp held high and hadn't seen the satchel move of its own accord. Erskin had kept Scrat hidden ever since she'd found him as a tiny, starving kitten by the Great Wall. Her sister would be furious if she knew Erskin had taken the cat in. People didn't keep pets in Lofotby, only farm animals, strictly for food, clothing, or pest control. And besides, even Erskin had to admit there was something unusual about Scrat. He was quite odd-looking, but she loved him anyway. He always seemed to know what she was thinking, and she him. He was her best and her only friend. But the villagers didn't need any more convincing that they, the mountain keeper's daughters, weren't normal. Erskin keeping a cat as a pet and carrying it around in a satchel would surely make things worse if they found out. Guilt at the thought of how Birgit would react if she knew made Erskin cringe. It felt like every tiny thing she did embarrassed her sister, so something like this might finish her off. But Erskin needed Scrat with her for courage, for comfort. No one else had to know. Besides, if she and her sister could just keep their heads down and bring any news straight back to Mam and Dad at the cottage as they'd been asked, all would be well. Squinting to see better in the gloom, Erskin scanned the crowd absently until she caught sight of a boy from school. She froze. He was looking right at her. Leaf, or something, he was called. He was Mara Azidi's son from the market, and in the year below her. They'd never spoken, but this wasn't the first time she'd caught him looking at her. Probably he'd laugh at her later with his friends, like all the others did, although she couldn't remember him ever shouting names at her. He smiled at her now, but she looked away quickly. She didn't want any trouble. "Erskin!" Erskin jumped at the annoyance in her sister's voice. "Pay attention for once, will you?" Birgit snapped, dazzling her with the glow lamp. "Stop daydreaming." A wave of shame rolled over her, because Birgit was right. She hadn't been paying attention. Erskin tried not to daydream. She tried really hard. But trying isn't the same as succeeding. Sometimes she focused so much on the idea of paying attention that she forgot to actually do it. Still, she couldn't help a quick glance back to where she'd caught sight of Leaf watching her, but the bustle of bodies had now shifted, and he was gone.